Alright, in this webinar we are going to just focus on the topic of Ielts writing task 2 preparation tips and lessons. If you really like to get a good mark in this part of your Ielts exam, which is even actually more important than task 1, the materials and information here could help you. And how much time do you have for this test, do you know, Sasan?
40 minutes.
40 minutes, yes. And and how many words are you supposed to use in your essay?
At least 250.
At least. And do you know what will happen if you just use less words than expected?
Actually, it loses some marks and some actually points if you actually wrote lesser than this amount of words. But
right.
And also it is let's say stated, for example, by some teachers that if you are writing more than 250 words, you need to be cautious and let's say you need to have this concern that if you're writing more than this amount of words, you may make mistakes and maybe you don't have enough time to review all of your context and your writing. And it's better not to exceed this amount of words.
250?
Yeah, it's better to actually keep the number of words around this number. I mean, for example, when a person tries to write 300 words, if that person is really professional, that's okay. But for ordinary student, I think it is, let's say, recommended that try to use this amount of words, not much more than this level.
Well, as a matter of fact, 250 words is the minimum number. It means the bottom line of the number of words you are expected to use, and the average would be between 260 to 280 words. And if you happen to write something, I mean actually an essay including less than 250 words, there will be penalty, word count penalty for you, and you will definitely lose some marks or points, So it is completely recommended, highly recommended, or strongly recommended that you use at least 250 words. And how can you count the number of, do you count the number of words, for example, that you use? Do you think it's a good technique? So how can you just keep track of the words you have used? Well, that is good. You come to a conclusion that, or understanding that, for example, you must have written at least that tentative number of words. But there is a better technique in order to just make sure or make more certain about the number of words, and that is by counting the number of lines that you have written. And you automatically come to this conclusion that generally in each line you must write or use some specific number of words. So by counting the number of lines you have written, you can make a prediction or estimate the number of words. So that is a good technique.
Yeah.
Count the number of lines, and it doesn't take you so much time.
Yes.
Okay. And have an opinion?
Yeah, talking about paragraphs, for example, how many paragraphs are enough for task 2 writing examination?
Yeah, that depends on actually the topic and your position and how you're going to defend or prove your claims. There is no specific number of paragraphs, but the overall number would be at actually 4 or 3 paragraphs. The first one is the introduction, which we will talk about later on. And for sure you need to have a conclusion, particularly for the Ielts writing task 2, and there will be actually 1 or 2 supporting paragraphs depending on the as I said, the topic and also your rendering or your position to that topic. Yeah, and the information that you're going to use in order to support it.
For example, when you're writing the body paragraphs, it's better not to use many prepared, I don't know, phrases or sentences. For example, there are many phrases, maybe they're beautiful or they're appropriate by default, but they squeeze a large amount of space when you're writing, for example, a text or an essay. For example, I don't know, it is clearly shown.
To put it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's for the conclusion paragraph, but in the body paragraph, you have the same scenarios as well.
Some, as you said, you're right. It's better not to use them, or let's say overuse them. For example, if you just use them once in your essay, that would be okay somehow. But if it happens that, for example, you use 3 or 4 of them, these conjunctions or long conjunctions or adverbs, it shows that you are trying to just somehow mislead the examiner. And from that point of view, it's better not to use them or overuse them. And also some prefabricated sentences. I noticed that it's better not to use them. As a matter of fact, they will give you some negative points, because it's better to be natural and not copy other sentences that are even actually so common these days. And so it's better to avoid these structures. You need to be natural, not just, for example, cut corners and get some sentence from, for example, that Ielts essayist or candidate, and get something else from others. Try to be original. We need to be original when it comes to just developing that essay, because we need to develop that essay, not just assemble the essay. And so what about the question types that you are given in this task, in this IELTS writing task? Do you have any information about the types of questions?
To the best of my recollection, it used to be 5 formats on 5 types of questions in the writing task too. One of which was about agree-disagree questions, and let's say argumentative essays. And number 2 was about advantages and disadvantages of something, pros and cons of that.
Right.
And one of them was about cause and effect, or sometimes some solutions for any problems.
Absolutely, yeah. So in response to those question types, you need to, for example, actually be able to use your logic, rationale, and explain about them and clarify your own position, and just submit or give enough reasons to prove or disprove something, and even actually give examples. These are welcome, these techniques. And just in response to a question, an argument, or opinion. So these 3 keywords are so important: an opinion, argument, or a problem. And as you said, discussing the pros and cons of something. And okay, so there are basically 4 considerations when it comes to assessing an IELTS writing task 2. One of them is task completion or task response, which carries 25% of the whole score you might get from the overall task. And the other one is cohesion and coherence. The other one is all about grammar, and also about the words that you use, or a lexical ability, lexical words. So we need to, now when it comes to task response, So, do you have any information about how you should get a good score or point about task response and what is meant by that?
I didn't get your meaning. Task response. You mean directly answers the questions? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point. So,
You know, sometimes, for example, some students go off the topics. For example, they are supposed to answer a question and they need to directly respond to the questions, and you know, they try to develop some other stories which are not that relevant to the topic, and you know, they are losing some marks.
Exactly.
And we have the same scenario in a speaking task, because they don't have enough time, for example, for listening to your own stories, and they are just assessing you according to your answers to the questions directly.
Yeah, they have their own prejudice, they get biased, and therefore actually they respond to the question in their own special way, and they get deviated from the main path. And so that's why if you happen to just respond to the question exactly in a good or fair way, the minimum score that you will get is 6, which is good enough. So task response, in my idea, comes first. First of all, you need to just understand the intention of the examiner or question, and focus on the keywords that exist there. And yeah, that is really important. And a very good way to do so is to plan. That's where planning comes into view. How you can plan your essay, and how you can brainstorm into that. You know, brainstorming.
Yeah, developing new ideas relevant to the topic, and
exactly.
add more spice to your writing task.
Yeah, relevant points about the topic being discussed. And how can you just, another technical term that is used here for brainstorming and planning and organizing your essay, even actually some scholars and IELTS experts believe that you need to spend at least 5 minutes before starting writing.
Yeah.
You know, because some candidates just jump to writing as soon as they see the question, which is wrong. They don't make any plan. They don't just consider the question clearly, and so they just ignore the task response factor or feature.
Yeah.
And so mind mapping is the technical term here. And how can you mind map? There are some strategies, but actually particularly about IELTS preparation for the task 2 writing, mind mapping technique generally takes a particular shape. And do you have some information about that particular shape or format?
And also for starting each paragraph, we need to have a plan. I mean, starting a paragraph and also just some explanation and give an example and wrap it off each paragraph as well. These are something that are recommended seriously.
Yeah, but giving an example or examples is not necessary, because sometimes you don't need, according to them, depending on the question and the topic, sometimes giving examples is not feasible. But about mind mapping, a very practical technique to perform that is to just write down the keyword of the question in the middle of the paper. You can write on the question paper you are given, so you can use that paper in order to start planning and organizing your information, your essay. So you can just place the keyword of the question in the middle of the paper and draw a circle around it, and then actually try to add some branches to that tree. Suppose that this is your trunk or stem of the main tree, and they are going to you can add some further branches to that tree in order to make it more mature, and even those branches could develop some further branches. And then because you cannot just cover all of those materials in your essay, you try to select the ones that best suit your essay. So in so doing, you will become inclusive and exclusive at the same time. And this is a good way, because brainstorming is not a linear activity, it's non-linear. So everything that comes into your mind, but about the topic, not irrelevant to the topic. It must be relevant to the topic. So that technique actually can help you a lot. And even as I said, some experts believe that you can spend even 10 minutes, and I believe that it's too much. 5 to 7 minutes is okay, but it depends. Some people are fast thinkers, some people genetically are good brainstormers, some others are not, so it depends. Pardon me?
5 minutes for brainstorming in the IELTS examination test, yeah?
For planning what you want to say, including brainstorm. Planning is more than brainstorming. Planning means brainstorming and then organizing. Because brainstorming doesn't have any organization. And so generally the topics are common issues. You don't need to have necessary technical information about them. For example, you're not given some questions about Russian history or something, so don't worry about that. And this is not a knowledge test, it's a language test, so you are not you won't receive negative points if you say something wrong, geographically, historically, or something. And so about the introductory paragraphs, we just started the point, and about the length of that. Do you have any information? And also the format, structure of that.
About the
how long should it be? It should not be, or let's say it must not be too long. The overall amount of number that you can use in your introductory paragraph or introduction paragraph actually is around 50 words. 2 sentences. It's better not to just consider lines, because lines have different lengths in different handwritings. But it must include 2 sentences. One is background sentence or statement, and it just lays the foundation of what you're going to talk about, and also the topic in the most general way. So actually this is called background statement, and the other sentence is thesis statement or topic sentence. And thesis statement reflects your opinion about that, because actually in this essay it's very important to clarify your position. Clarity is really significant, and you must make it clear to which group or to which let's say side of argument you belong, and or you need to express your clear-cut opinions about it. So the first sentence is background statement reflecting the essay question, and the second sentence is thesis statement or topic sentence reflecting your own opinion. And you must just precede background statement before thesis statement. And as I said, clarity is really important, and also, as we said, it's particularly in the recent modifications made to the IELTS exam, you should not use overused or cliched phrases or prefabricated sentences mechanically. And as I said, there are 4 considerations for making an assessment of your performance. The first item is task response, and it refers to how relevant you are to the topic. And the second one is coherence and cohesion. The third one is lexical resource. And the last one is grammatical range and accuracy. And each item has 25% overall, 100% of your overall complete score. And you need to pay a specific attention to the task response feature and get it correctly, get the question correctly. And about coherence and cohesion, do you know the difference between these two complementary points?
Coherence and cohesion?
Yes. Altogether, they will consider 25%, that is 1/4 of your task, of your score for this task.
Something that I know about this, let's say, topic or idea is that it's relevant to the way that you actually connect your sentences all together. For example, it should be similar to a, let's say, waterfall, that it starts from one position and you are just accompanying the reader step by step, and you are just guiding him or her to a specific point. The way actually you are doing this scenario shows your actually coherence and cohesion. And there are some specific phrases, or let's say starters, that can help you to connect 2 sentences together.
Right. Okay, fair enough. As a matter of fact, to add more information to just what you said, coherence refers to unity when it comes to meaning and logic. It means everything that you say or write about actually makes sense and gears into other points. But cohesion refers to the mechanical or linguistic aspect. I mean, the link that you make between the linguistic aspects, and it's also more important. I can just reword myself or what I wanted to say in this way, that coherence refers to non-linguistic, but cohesion actually is linguistic, or form. Cohesion refers to the form and coherence refers to the meaning and the unity that you try to make by just in a way that you write your essay or compose it. And for example, when it comes to cohesion, you should use some linking words and transitions or conjunctions in a moderate way. And what about indentation? Are you supposed to actually have indentation in your essay to indent the paragraphs or not?
What do you mean by indentation? I didn't get it.
Indentation refers to considering some free space at the beginning of each paragraph. Start your new paragraph with, for example, some space.
Yeah, that's
on
totally
the first
necessary.
line.
Because it's
No,
not.
it's not. No, it's not necessary. You need to consider some free spaces. One line space, horizontally. For example, you start your first paragraph, that is your introduction paragraph, without any indentation. Indentation is not necessary these days. And then when you're done with the first paragraph, you consider one space, horizontal space.
Yeah.
Okay? And then immediately start your second paragraph. And then when you're done with the second paragraph, consider another space, horizontal line. And then the next paragraph. So indentation is no longer necessary.
I didn't know that.
And yeah, I just conducted some research on that. Yeah, and what about using quotations, proverbs, and idioms? Are they recommended or not? What's your
I think so.
point of view?
Maybe at first glance, I
Mhm.
think that they are beautifying your essay, but they are just regarded as fabricated sentences because you're filling the paper or uh, the essay with the words which are prepared before the examination, and this is something that actually decreases our scores, I suppose, in the examination day.
Yes, overall, yeah, it's better not to use quotations, proverbs, and idioms. And to what you just said, I can add that because of the fact that up to most of the idioms and proverbs are informal stretches of words. And in this task of your IELTS, you need to be fairly formal. So by using those prefabricated sentences, quotations, actually you tend to be rather informal, which is not good. And yeah, you just need to express yourself in a clear-cut way. And that's it. Okay, so much precious information was just exchanged. And thank you for your participation in this webinar.